Every Superman has his kryptonite. And today, we are going to talk about the nightmare matchups for each UFC champ. We're going to take a look at which fighter is most likely to beat each UFC champion. Stick around to hear which fighters I think beat each of the UFC champions that we currently have. Stick around to hear my thoughts. I'm Wyatt, and this is Fight Society. All right, guys, so like I mentioned in the intro, every Superman has their kryptonite. Every champ has their their take the belt from them kryptonite, end their winning streak type of opponent. Today, we're going to take a look at each of the male UFC champs. We're going to go through each one of them. We're going to go from heaviest to lightest, from Jon Jones to Alexandre Pantoja. I'm going to give you who the kryptonite is for each one of those champions, the nightmare matchup that I think is most likely to end their run. So here we have all current UFC undisputed male champions, and we are going to go from heaviest to lightest, from Jon Jones to Alexandre Pantoja, and I'm going to tell you, in my opinion, who is most likely to beat each and every one of our current undisputed male champions. We start off with Jon Jones, who is currently inactive. Looks like he's going to be fighting Stipe next in November at Madison Square Garden. Not the matchup that most of us want to see. And it's frankly two old guys. Stipe is going to lose right off into the sunset. But the kryptonite to Jon Jones, the nightmare matchup, is the guy that we've all been telling him that he's ducking, the one that he's avoiding, and that is the interim champion, Tom Aspinall, who is fighting Curtis Blades in an interim title defense at UFC 304 in Manchester in July. Here's why I say this. Jon Jones became heavyweight champ against Ciryl Gane, who is at the time, he did get better. He showed that in the Sergey Spivak fight. At the time, Ciryl Gane was a very incompetent grappler. He lost by wrestling it out type of decision to Francis Ngannou. It showed he got freaking guillotined in 2 minutes or less without landing almost any strikes against Jon Jones. Very, very bad performance for Ciryl Gane. That was a favorable matchup for Jon Jones. Now, what I think Tom Aspinall is the kryptonite to Jon Jones. Black belt in jiu-jitsu, big heavyweight, explosive, talented on the feet, can just blast a power double leg, has a chin. I think that the youth, the explosiveness, and the grappling capability of Tom Aspinall makes him, not saying he would beat Jon Jones, but I'm saying he's the most likely to beat Jon Jones out of the current heavyweights. We move on to Alex Pereira. Now, I think Alex Pereira is going to hold this belt for a long time, but I think at 205, his most likely next matchup is going to be his toughest. That is Magomed Ankalaev. If somebody's going to beat Alex Pereira, it's going to be Magomed Ankalaev at 205. Alex Pereira did struggle a little bit with the takedowns from Jan Blachowicz. I know that MMA math doesn't always work, but if we use the MMA math, Ankalaev held down and bullied Jan Blachowicz for the last 3 rounds of their fight when they had a draw for the UFC light heavyweight belt. If we take that math and apply it to their fight, if somebody's going to be able to hold Alex Pereira down, it's Magomed Ankalaev. Now, I don't think that Alex Pereira loses to Ankalaev when they most likely fight later this year. But I do think that if someone is to beat Alex Pereira, it is Magomed Ankalaev implementing his wrestling to a decision or a submission in the late rounds. But Alex Pereira has to fight somebody that's closer to his size with actual grappling prowess, not somebody like Yuri that'll mix a takedown in and get elbowed into unconsciousness up against the fence. We move on from there. We have the current middleweight champion, Dricus Du Plessis. Now, some of you guys might say, oh yeah, he lost to Sean Strickland. His nightmare matchup would be a rematch with Sean Strickland. And I'm not saying you're wrong, but I think the actual kryptonite nightmare matchup for Dricus Du Plessis is his first title defense, which is against Israel Adesanya. Now, I know that Izzy has lost a lot of his aura since the Strickland fight, but we can't forget that Izzy, in his prime, defeated multiple people that make fights very ugly. Also people that can wrestle. He fought Paulo Costa, Yoel Romero. Kelvin Gastelum turned it into a barn burner slobber knocker type fight, and Izzy came out of that. The only thing, and also Yoel Romero, Marvin Vittori's a great grappler. Rob Whittaker is also a very talented striker. Izzy has fought the who's who, and the reason why I want to see how he looks in his next fight is, given that he had a DUI 3 weeks before the matchup with Sean Strickland, it seemed like he wasn't taking that fight very seriously. Sean Strickland took the fight on short notice. Many people thought he was just going to get absolutely worked, and the complete opposite happened. So I want to see motivated, bounce back Israel Adesanya against Dricus Du Plessis, because I think Izzy, on the best version of Izzy, even a fraction of the best version of Izzy, absolutely dominates Dricus Du Plessis. I think he pieces him up on the feet and defends the takedowns, doesn't allow it to get ugly like Sean Strickland and DDP did. But if the Izzy that fought Sean Strickland shows up, he's getting TKO'd in the first 2 rounds. That's what I think. But if Izzy is on, he beats DDP and becomes middleweight champ for the 3rd time. We move on from there. Leon Edwards, current welterweight champion, fighting Bilal Muhammad at UFC 304. Leon is a great champion from a talent standpoint. He's not as active as I'd like him to be. He does have a lot of decisions. I don't think that Leon Edwards is going to lose to Bilal Muhammad. I haven't, obviously I'll make my prediction videos when that card comes up, but I don't think Leon loses to Bilal Muhammad. I think he actually coasts to a victory against Bilal Muhammad by decision. But here's the thing. Leon Edwards is a very clean fighter. Loves to go to these technical decisions. I know he KO'd Kamaru Usman, but then he went and had a very cruise control type of decision against Kamaru Usman in the defense, and then against Colby Covington in the defense. So he's very clean, technical, cruise control, slowly pulls away as the fight goes on. And I think that the person that could give Leon Edwards serious problems is somebody that's not his next fight, but possibly the fight after. And that's somebody that will make the fight ugly, will turn it into an ugly fight, not afraid of taking damage, not afraid of walking forward, not afraid of getting into the pocket and making it ugly, while also being able to mix in grappling. I think Leon's kryptonite is Shavkat Rakhmonov. And who knows when they're going to fight. You have Bilal up next, and then after that, you could see Islam stepping up to 170 if they don't book him against Arman Tsarukyan. We don't even know when or if we're going to see this fight. I think that Leon Edwards' kryptonite is a dirty, ugly, slobber knocker type of fight with Shavkat Rakhmonov. That's what I think. And I think that if Shavkat ends up getting his chance against Leon, Leon's going to get dethroned as welterweight champ. We move on. Islam Makhachev, coming off of his win over Dustin Poirier, he did get tested against someone that made the fight very, very ugly. His next fight, in my opinion, should be against Arman Tsarukyan in Abu Dhabi, but it could be against Leon Edwards. He could move up and fight Leon Edwards. I personally think that Arman Tsarukyan gives Islam a very tough fight, but I still think that Islam gets it done against Arman Tsarukyan. I actually think that the person that would end Islam Makhachev's winning streak is if he moves up to 170 for a double champ status or a double champ title shot. I think that Islam Makhachev's kryptonite is Leon Edwards. I think that the size, stepping up a weight class, would be in favor of Leon, where he can't just muscle guys to the ground. Leon has amazing takedown defense. He's much better in tight with knees and elbows than Dustin Poirier, and Dustin Poirier damaged Islam with that one elbow. Takedown defense is on point. The distance management, the control of the striking department, the way that he can defend takedowns and defend grappling like he did against Kamaru Usman and other guys. I think that Leon Edwards beats Islam Makhachev. I think that if Islam's winning streak is to come to an end, it is in a double champ status opportunity against Leon Edwards. We move on from there to the current undisputed featherweight champion, Ilia Topuria. Ilia Topuria just knocked out Volkanovski, and it looks like things are pointing towards a Max Holloway fight next. It could be a Volk rematch, we'll see. But in my opinion, there is actually nobody right now, might be a hot take, but nobody right now at 145 that beats Ilia Topuria. Max Holloway is a very talented boxer with a great chin, but he does struggle against shorter opponents. He lost to Volk 3 times. Even though he won, he did have a hard time with Jose Aldo being shorter than him. So I don't think that Ilia Topuria's kryptonite is Max Holloway's boxing. I think that Ilia Topuria's kryptonite, most likely to beat him, is bantamweight champion Sugar Sean O'Malley moving up in a double title shot, double champ status title shot against Ilia Topuria, somebody that would put Ilia on the back foot, someone that can defend the grappling very well like he did against Aljamain Sterling, who was a big bantamweight and is now at featherweight. Sean O'Malley has shown that he can knock out bigger opponents, such as Aljo. He has the power to carry into guys that are fighting at 145. He's rangy enough to keep him at distance. He doesn't struggle with shorter opponents in the way that Max Holloway has. And he's not a back foot counter fighter like an Alexander Volkanovski that allowed Ilia to push him up to the fence and get KO'd up against the fence. Sean O'Malley does fight backing up a lot, but he's not like an Israel Adesanya that exclusively fights on the back foot. He actually will get back to the center. He'll push guys up against the fence. If you look at the Hali and Paiva fight where he got a finish up against the fence. If you look at the Peter Yan fight, he was able to pressure Peter Yan. I think that if Ilia Topuria is to lose his featherweight title shot before moving up to 155 like he wants to, I think he loses to Sugar Sean O'Malley. Moving down from there, we have the guy that we just talked about, who is the current bantamweight champion, Sugar Sean O'Malley. I don't think that his next fight against Merab is where his title fight would most likely come to an end. I think that he's going to defend Merab's takedowns and he's going to catch Merab with the same left hook that Marlon Moraes and Henry Cejudo hit him with. I think that Sean O'Malley is going to beat Merab, and the fight, if he can get through Umar Nurmagomedov, the fight that Sean O'Malley really has to worry about is Corey Sandhagen, somebody that has a very similar build, an explosive striker, a crafty striker that can also mix takedowns in. I think this is the toughest fight out there at 135 for Sean O'Malley is Corey Sandhagen. I'm not saying he loses to Corey Sandhagen, but this is the toughest matchup and the most likely opponent at 135 to beat Sugar Sean O'Malley, and that is Corey Sandhagen. We move on from there to the current flyweight champion, Alexandre Pantoja. Now, he has beat the vast majority of the elite flyweights. He has beaten Moreno multiple times. He beat Kai Kara France on The Ultimate Fighter. He beat Royval. He just beat Urseg. I think he probably beats Manel Kape. I think he actually could beat who many people think is going to be the next flyweight champion. I think he beats Muhammad Makhachev. Somebody that might be a little bit under the radar, right now at least, that I think could beat Alexandre Pantoja is rising prospect fighting in a main event against Alex Perez just next week, Tatsuro Taira, who is a great grappler. He's okay on the feet. He's not the most talented on the feet, but Alexandre Pantoja has ugly striking. He tries to turn it into a brawl. I think that Taira can turn the tides in a fight with Alexandre Pantoja, and instead of allowing Pantoja to camp in half guard, I think that the grappling exchanges in this fight would be phenomenal. I think that Taira's jiu-jitsu and top pressure, his wrestling and offensive grappling mixed with his defensive grappling could get him the win against Alexandre Pantoja. I know a lot of people would say, oh no, Muhammad Makhachev, heavy wrestler, but here's the thing. We haven't seen Muhammad Makhachev do a whole lot of work on bottom. We saw him tough out a knee bar from Jael Filio, who totally just ruined his knee. But that was a toughness thing. That wasn't a skill thing. And Tatsuro Taira can work on the bottom and can work on the top. So if Tatsuro Taira can survive on the feet and get the fight to the ground, I think that's who beats Alexandre Pantoja. And let's not forget, Taira fights in a main event just next week against Alex Perez, who is ranked number 5. So if Taira can win that fight, he's a top 5 flyweight. We could see Taira versus Pantoja later this year. So that's who I think beats each of the current UFC undisputed male champions. Let me know your thoughts down below. Let me know if you disagree with any of these or who you think would beat some of these guys. Let me know your thoughts down below. Thanks. Thanks for watching this video. Make sure to like and subscribe. If you want access to extra content aside from my regular videos, click the link in the description down below to become a channel member and get access to members-only live streams and other bonus perks. Or click the join button on our channel homepage. And if you're interested in some non-MMA content from me, check out my weekly podcast, the Hissyfit podcast, and check out my personal channel, Wyatt's World. I'll have them both linked in the description down below. Go watch this suggested video, and I'll see you next time.